What's up, Alabama fans? It's Andrew Bone here with BamaInsider.com bringing you a breaking news update. Rivals 100 quarterback Eli Holstein out of Zachary High School in Louisiana has committed to the Crimson Tide. Big surprise addition for Alabama on this Tuesday morning as Eli Holstein decided to go ahead, pull the trigger for Alabama. It's very interesting because we've seen some top quarterbacks in the country announce official visit dates for Alabama over the course of the last couple of weeks, including Arch Manning, who is scheduled to visit Alabama on June the 10th through the 12th, and Dylan Lonergan, who is scheduled to visit Alabama on June the 3rd through the 5th. So we'll talk about those guys here in a second, but let's talk about the big commitment from Eli Holstein. This is a guy who Alabama has evaluated thoroughly throughout the last year. He attended Alabama summer camp last year, last June, when he first earned his offer from Alabama. Now, he ended up committing to Texas A&M a couple weeks later. Not really sure if that had, if Ty Simpson's commitment had anything to do with that. Knowing that Ty Simpson was a part of Alabama's 2022 recruiting class, Texas A&M making a big push for him to go ahead and jump on board. He went ahead and committed to the Aggies last summer, but continued to express a lot of interest in Alabama throughout the process. He even visited the Crimson Tide during the regular season, attended the Alabama LSU game in Tuscaloosa. We weren't really sure where Alabama stood as far as, was he going to continue to take visits? Was Alabama a serious contender for him? Once we saw him make a trip to Tuscaloosa for Junior Day, we knew that the interest was very serious. And then shortly after that Junior Day visit, he ends up reopening his recruitment, decommitted from Texas A&M, made a couple trips back to Alabama during the spring, including the A-Day game. Now, he did take a few other visits, visited LSU, visited Florida, but I think the writing was kind of on the wall once he made those trips to Tuscaloosa, especially the two during spring practice. We kind of knew that Alabama was sitting in a great position. The biggest question was, would they accept a commitment prior to the summer, prior to other quarterbacks coming in for official visits, especially Arch Manning, knowing that Alabama had spent a lot of time recruiting him, evaluating him throughout the entire process. So with Eli Holstein, Coach Saban, Coach Bill O'Brien, Pete Golding, all those guys had a very instrumental part in recruiting him. Obviously, with Bill O'Brien being the offensive coordinator, going down and seeing him in his spring game. Pete Golding recruiting him, throughout the entire process, and obviously the relationship that Holstein built with Nick Saban, played a really strong part in his recruitment. I got a chance to talk to Eli after his spring game visit, and he told me, the biggest thing that he likes about Alabama is the coaching staff and the way that they develop players, the way that they develop young men. Has a really strong connection with the entire coaching staff. Mentioned not just the main guys, mention the entire staff, the support staff, mention other quarterback coaches that work on the work with the Alabama Crimson Tide, not just Bill O'Brien. So there was a strong connection there, strong feeling there. So like I said, the biggest thing we were wondering was if Alabama would get a quarterback on board before the summer started, and Eli Holstein, Arch Manning both had the green light to commit. Alabama's evaluated both of them. They loved Holstein. Obviously, love Arch Manning as well, but went ahead accepting a commitment from Eli Holstein as we head into the summer. So, what does this mean for guys like Arch Manning, Dylan Lonergan going forward? With these guys set up for official visits next month, or excuse me, in the next couple of weeks. We're almost to June, so yeah, I don't expect really anything to change. I think Alabama's still going to try to bring both of those guys in for official visits. Still going to recruit them. I think Alabama's still very open to the idea of taking two quarterbacks in this class. Now they're not going to take just any two. Obviously, if a guy like Arch Manning wants to jump on board, they're going to take his commitment. Will that happen? I think that's probably going to be a little tough, but they're going to continue to recruit him, continue to push for him, and I think they have explained to Eli Holstein, Arch Manning, kind of throughout the entire process that both of those guys are high on their list. They would take either one of them, and they would continue to recruit both of them, regardless of what decision was going to take place. But big start to Alabama heading into the summer, and really it was needed. I mean, we saw the public spat between Coach Saban and Coach Jimbo Fisher last week. Alabama has been sitting with 3 commitments for a for a long time, it seems, and with 2 guys who have taken some visits. There's been some rumors that they were going to flip, with Elliott Washington taking a visit to Michigan State during the spring, and also Jahil Hurley visiting Auburn a couple times. And there was some strong rumors there that Jahil Hurley was going to flip to the Tigers, but it almost seems like things have settled down. Things are getting back to normal, and it seems like Hurley and Elliott Washington have not necessarily firmed up their commitments, but Alabama appears in a little bit better shape as far as keeping them today than they may have been a little bit earlier this spring. So heading into the summer, Alabama currently sitting with 4 commitments. How many more are they going to get over the next couple of weeks? We'll have to wait and see. But the fact that Alabama is about to kick off a very busy summer with a lot of camps, 9 football camps in the month of June alone. Now, these are a mixture of high school football camps, grades 9 through 12. They're going to have O-line, D-line camp, a kicking camp. I know Alabama fans are excited about the special teams camp because it certainly looks like Alabama is in the market for a kicker, so they're going to be evaluating guys once they attend the camp here in the next couple of weeks. So who's going to be that next commitment to jump on board? Are we going to finally see another in-state guy commit? Are we going to see potentially one of these official visitors that's going to come in next week commit to Alabama? Alabama's going to have some big visitors on campus next weekend, including Brandon Ennis, the #1 wide receiver in the country. Cole Adams, who's also a top flight wide receiver out of Oklahoma. You also have Riley Williams and Luke Haas, 2 of the very, very best tight ends in the country. So we haven't heard yet if Eli Holstein is going to make it up to Tuscaloosa every single weekend in June. We certainly expect him in Tuscaloosa on June the 10th weekend to help recruit. Now, that may not be an official visit, may just be an unofficial visit where he's just spending a lot of time in Tuscaloosa. We saw that last summer with Ty Simpson. Ty Simpson made sure that he was in Tuscaloosa every single weekend, not just on weekends where he was planning on visiting or taking an official visit. He was there every weekend to help recruit a lot of top guys throughout the summer. So I certainly expect that with Eli Holstein, a little short drive to Tuscaloosa. But once again, big commitment from Eli today. This is a very exciting football player. He had a great junior season, led his high school football team to the Class 5A state championship in the state of Louisiana, had over 3,700 yards of offense, had 43 total touchdowns. Now, this is a guy who can get it done with his arm and his legs. He clocked a 4.64 40 at the Elite 11 regionals in Las Vegas. He was invited to the Elite 11 finals this summer. So this is certainly one of the guys that we're going to continue to see move up in the rankings with his performance this spring, and definitely a guy that Alabama fans should be very excited about. I know from following all of our fans on Bama Insider, they have been really excited about Eli Holstein for several months, especially when he started making trips back to Tuscaloosa after that Texas A&M commitment. So big win for Alabama today with Eli Holstein jumping on board. We're going to continue to watch and see what happens with guys like Arch Manning, Dylan Lonergan, if they end up making trips to Tuscaloosa this summer, which we certainly expect. So what we're also going to be watching is who's going to be that next commitment. Who's going to be commitment number 5, commitment number 6. We're certainly watching those guys that are going to be coming in for official visits over the course of the next couple weeks leading into the summer. But big start to the summer for Alabama. And for the latest breaking news, be sure to stay tuned to BamaInsider.com.